what's up everyone? It's Shannon and it's Sunday, so it must be time to wind down your weekend with Bat City Comic Professionals. I am super excited to try this wine tonight that I cannot say, but I'm going to give it a try in just a second. Plus, we had some really great comic books this week, so I'm really excited. Every time I would put a book down, or somebody would put a book down on the counter, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that came out this week? I knew. I have my stack. Where's my stack? Why didn't I read that one yet? So this is definitely a week full of books that I'm excited to talk about. I hope you're excited to hear about them, or maybe even excited to read them. Hopefully you've already gotten some of them this week at your local comic shop and you've already checked them out. But just in case you missed some of those indie and small press comics, I'm going to tell you about all of them, and then you can go find them at your LCS so you can catch up on them after this show. So first of all, we're going to wind down our weekend. We need a wine. So we are drinking, and like I said, I'm going to do a terrible job, but I'm going to try because that's all that matters in life, is that you give it your best effort of saying the name of this wine, which is a Portuguese wine, and it's from Beira is how they said it. So I think the wine is Beirais, but I'm not sure, but we're going to try it. It's a red wine. Like I said, it's Portuguese wine. It says that it's like full-bodied, like fruit berries. I only understood some of what's on the back of the bottle because it's not in English. And so I tried my best to translate as much as I could. But it's got really strong fruit aromas, and it says it's got some spices that make for a full mouth of flavor. So we're going to see what's in here. That tastes very much like a grape, like a clean grape taste. I actually don't taste a lot of spices at all, but there's like a very clean taste to it.
I think I taste vanilla. Like a vanilla note.
A little vanilla, maybe.
It's very good.
It's very good. This would be a nice wine for summer. Like, we were just talking about how this is like the kickoff for the summer season for movies and all the like promotional stuff and everything, and so it's kind of funny because now I'm tasting this and I'm like, this is like the wine you would take for 4th of July to sit outside like in the summer because it's so light. And we don't talk about red wines being light very often. You know, we usually talk about red wines being like thick and tanniny, and this one, it's very, like, it almost tastes like a fruit punch. This would make a good sangria.
Yeah, because it's not too sweet.
Yeah.
But it's not thin.
Yeah.
Either. It's light, but it's not thin.
Right,
it's full body.
It's full body. There's a lot of flavor in there, but it's still, like, it doesn't feel, like, almost syrupy or anything like that. Like, it's very light, very lightweight in the taste of it.
Very fresh.
It's very good. This is one that you would drink a lot of before you realize that you drank a lot of it, which I feel like I just did. It's definitely good. I recommend this already just from, like, this one taste. And this was a gift. This was gifted to us from Wednesday Phil, who does the show sometimes with us, and this was a good choice. So thanks, Phil. I am going to pull up your comments so I can see what's going on, and I'm going to share this stream so people know that we're live. And we're going to talk about... Oh, look at all these people who are already here. Thanks for joining in, everybody. I hope you're having an awesome Sunday night. And I hope you read some great books this week. So if you did, please drop in the comments what books you read this week. And if you haven't gotten a chance to read them yet, drop in what you're looking forward to if you already have some books in mind. I know a lot of people came in for Amazing Spider-Man 26 this week. If you read it, don't spoil it for those who may have actually missed the 3 weeks worth of spoilers that were surrounding that book. And speaking of spoilers, I know Across the Spider-Verse dropped this week. Do not spoil it in the comments if you saw it. And remember, opinions are spoilers too. So don't post, you can say you saw it if you want to, but you don't spoil it for everybody. Everybody has not made it out this week. But if you make it out, make sure you grab those cool popcorn buckets or something because they're so awesome and I really want one. You can also get a popcorn bucket that's Spider-Verse themed at Walmart. Just saying. So, all right. we're going to talk about some really awesome comics. I just saw that Nick is there, so just in case you didn't know, we are streaming probably live at this moment at Mysterium Escape Rooms, which is our buddies over in Sarasota. If you are looking for something fun to do this summer, pop over and check them out. And their new escape room, Too Cool for Wizard School, which I could not remember the name of last week, so thank you, Nick, for sending me the name. And for those super cool shirts, if you haven't been over to Mysterium yet, you got to check out their Too Cool for Wizard School shirts, because they are dope. But they also have 3 other really cool escape rooms that you have to check out. So if you are looking for something fun for the whole family or your whole group of friends and you're in the Bradenton, Sarasota area, drop over to Mysterium and check them out.
And they have a bar.
And they have a virtual reality gaming section, and they have an arcade style setup for console games. So basically any console game you could ever want to play, they've got it. There's so many cool things going on all around town. I know most of Askura's shows are free this month, so if you're looking for some good live music, go check out Askura. And I think we've got 2 Friendly City Fleas coming out this month, so make sure you check those out as well, which take place at Askura. And I think for the first time ever, we have a summer kickoff public market downtown. There's one at the end of every month this summer, and we usually don't have them in the summer, so I'm super excited to see those Saturday markets at downtown. And speaking of Saturdays, this Saturday, June 10th, is our next comic creation workshop for kids. So if you are a parent in the Bradenton, Sarasota, Manatee area in general, we've got free comic creation workshops at 11:30 and 3 p.m. this Saturday, June 10th, so come out for those, and your kids can learn some really great ways to write and make their own comics. So lots going on. Make sure you check our Facebook page for our events, or drop by the store, or sign up for our email mailing list so you can get those. And one of the other things that we always talk about is books that we love. So I'm going to jump in to those books as soon as I take another drink of this wine.
Because it's delicious.
Because it's delicious. All right, and we are going to kick it off with Exorcists Never Die, issue 2 from Madcave. I'm really excited with what Madcave's been doing in the last year or so for comics. They've really changed a lot of their editorial team or direction. I don't know if they've actually changed the physical people, but they've changed the direction, it seems. And we're starting to get some really, really strong stories from Madcave. And in this particular one, we are following these 2 people whose job it is to do some exorcisms, and they are going through the sins, the 7 deadly sins, in the weirdest way possible. And in this particular one, they are fighting what looks kind of like Krang, but it is actually the 7 deadly sin of lust. And they have figured out that they can't touch lust at all. They can't hit him, punch him, do anything at all, because it kind of just makes more monsters come out of lust. And so one of the funny things is, and it's kind of awesome at the same time, is that they use their spirit powers, their angelic spirit powers, almost calling forth a Pokemon or a Yu-Gi-Oh kind of battle. And they pull this power out and they take it to fight them. And in this particular issue, while they were fighting lust, we find out that maybe those powers aren't going to necessarily work, and they might have to come up with different ways of looking at how they solve the problems that they are facing. This is a really fun story. I love the 2 characters. We already know immediately after the first issue that they have a past of some sort, and they kind of expand on it a little bit more in this one. So we're getting really great character development as we go along. And we talk a lot about, one of the things we love about comics is that even when the fights are happening or the action is happening, they keep talking. I think this is a book that's doing a really great job of that, because they're giving us backstory even during the fights. So it's a fight will stop and they'll jump out of it and they'll take us to a backstory moment, and they come back and the fighting was still happening and we didn't have to necessarily just spend all the time on it. So if you're looking for an interesting, unique read, check out Exorcists Never Die. And you're only 2 issues in, so you're not too far gone. Up next, we have Door to Door, Night by Night, issue 6 from Vault Comics. This is the story of a group of people who are door-to-door salesmen, and in the very first issue we find out that what they do is they go around and they knock on doors to sell photos that will be created, special memories by somebody, we don't know who, to benefit whatever the local volunteer fire department is. And it sounds like the most ultimate scam in the possible world. We don't really know honestly, if they've ever given any money to a fire department. But what we do know is that everywhere they go, these mysterious circumstances happen. We've seen them fight off all kinds of creatures and monsters and kind of their own personal demons all at the same time. And in this particular issue, we follow one of the guys in the group who hates a certain day of the week or a certain day of the year, and we figure out why, but I'm not going to let you know that. But in the process, he takes the rural route, and he ends up meeting a woman whose husband and son have both passed away, and there is an obsession with an old car in the garage that both of them had, and it leads us to our next demon type monster that we have to fight. And I love how they tie all of the physical creatures and monsters and things that we face in with their personal demons in every issue. It's such a great duality of the story in every time, and it's just I love the bright colors that Deacon is giving us. I love just how this art is moving this story forward. So we're 6 issues in, which means we're probably about to get a trade paperback, unless it's only going to be 8 to 10, because that is a thing that Vault does, is a lot of times, like when a series is only 8 or 10 issues, they hold and they don't actually do a mid-break trade, and they just do a full trade. So this one might not actually get a break. It might actually just keep going. It just kind of depends on if we're looking at 8 to 10 or if we're looking at an ongoing. So check it out. Grab an issue 1. I know we have issue 1s back in stock. I don't know about every LCS in the world, but I know they are still available. We just grabbed some more because we wanted people to be able to check that book out because it is so popular. So now's the time. Go get it. Get in there. Up next, we have The Bone of the Gods, issue 4 from Scout Comics. And this is the story of a teenage girl who lives in one of like an ancient world type situation, and all of the gods were used to fight amongst their families and protect them, but they were all taken out, and now they have gone into, their bones have been scattered everywhere. And so if you find the bones of the gods, you're supposed to have this ultimate magic, just depending on how big the bone is. And of course, in the very first issue, she's working in the yard and she finds a bone, and now she's the target for every evil and like not so evil person that could possibly come around. But she is on the run, and her 2 best friends have decided that they're going to help her. But she has also come into contact with a lot of people from her parents' past that are willing to help her too, because things are getting very, very dark. And in this issue, we learn a little bit more about what the gods' bones can do and what magics kind of make this world go round and how they are going to impact everything. And she's got a lot of choices that are coming up for her to make, and we've seen how people in her family make choices and how they don't always make the right ones. So this is definitely setting us up for the fact that she may or may not be prepared for the decision she's going to have to make as time comes up soon. We also have, speaking of issue 4s, Barbaric, Hell to Pay, issue 4 from Vault. We are flying through this. And also, congratulations to Barbaric, because this is the first time one of the many portions of it, like one of the volumes, has actually had more than 3 issues. We've always done 3 issues and then a one-shot, and then 3 issues and a one-shot. And this particular one was 4 issues. So I hope we still get a one-shot, but we do know that we are getting another series that's already been solicited and ordered for the next round. But if you haven't ever read Barbaric, this is the story of Owen, who is a barbarian who was cursed by some witches to have to help people for good. And he has an axe named Axe who speaks and gets drunk on the blood of all of the people that they destroy. And at the beginning of this volume, Owen was sent down to hell, and he has decided that he is going to take out somebody who he has been fighting for a very long time who lives in hell as a point to try to save a former ally of his. And at the same time, Soren, who is our necromancer who he's been traveling with, is trying to save Owen. And so she has been working on the surface level with different people to try to do that. And issue 4 finally brings the stories kind of together a little bit, and we see the setup for what is to come. Every volume of Barbaric just makes the story bigger. You know, when the first volume came out, it was kind of like, oh, this is just a comedy, and it's just about watching acts get drunk. It's not really, like, who knows how far the story is going to go. And since then, every volume has added backstory. Every volume has made the universe bigger. It's made these connections bigger. We've learned the way the curse is going to carry out for more than just Owen necessarily at this point, and how it can move that story along even further. And so this is the end of this third volume, and we're going to see the launch of what is it? The Queen of Swords is what they're calling the next installment of Barbaric, and I'm very excited to see where that's going to go, because the women of Barbaric have just been totally awesome the whole way through, and so I can't wait to see them kind of get to shine even more. Up next, we have Hoan of Orcs, #2 from Blood Moon Comics, and honestly, this is the story of Joan of Arc. If Joan of Arc was an orc in a fantasy world trying to stop all of the bad things from happening. And one of the ways that they, of course, do that is Hoan can actually hear voices. And those voices are kind of leading her to a future where maybe she could be the one that destroys the elves, or stops the elves and the dwarves and all of them from attacking them. And she, in this issue, is trying to go to the king so she can say she needs an army and she needs people to work with her because she thinks she has the solution. And she ends up in this battle where she has to prove herself. And nobody takes her seriously, and they think, you're hearing voices, you're just a woman. They tell her, you're just a little girl, you need to go back to where you came from, or if you really want to help, you can volunteer to be one of the people that is having the babies for the soldiers, so that we can have stronger orc babies in the future. Like, you seem like a strong woman, so the best thing you could do is go have a baby. And she's like, no, the best thing I could do is go to battle with an army and destroy all of our enemies, because something bad is coming and you need to trust me. And they don't. And, you know, she even has, instead of having a sword, she has a staff that she likes to fight with, and its name is Orleans. So this is really giving us just an orc retelling of the story of Joan of Arc in such a cool way. So if you are a fantasy fan, this is going to be a great one for you, because you do get a good fantasy world, but you also get some great female empowerment and a tribute to the Saint Joan of Arc. I'm going to take another drink, and we are drinking the wine that I'm going to have to keep saying all live stream long, and I'm going to do a terrible job every time. Beirais. We're going to go with that. Also, if you know how to say this word, please give me a pronunciation in the comments, or give us a pronunciation in the comments so that I stop. Again, I think I looked up the town name, and it's Baida. So I would assume it's Beirais, but if it's not, please correct me. That is so good. All right. Wonderful. We're going to keep going. Up next, we just had issue 2 of this last week, but we have Nervous Wreck issue 3 from It's Alive Comics out this week. And Nervous Rex and It's Alive are putting out reprints of a comic that has already existed, so that's what Nervous Rex is. It's kind of, I'm going to say Nervous Wreck every time because it's so close. Nervous Rex. And it's kind of very much your classic comic strip. This is the story of Rex, who is a T-Rex. And he is teeny tiny, and nobody takes him seriously, least of all his wife, who is much larger than him and thinks that he is just the worst T-Rex ever. And so in our first installation in this book, he is actually he goes to a sorceress, a tarot card reader, a whatever you want to call her, and he gets a spell to help him not have to be thrown by his wife, and he learns how to levitate his wife and keep her from attacking him. And, of course, that blows up in his face terribly. And in the second installment, he is actually trying to teach his kids some things that they need to know, but we find he hires a tutor, and the tutor ends up, of course, just being his wife, and it's just hijinks all the time. Again, not kid hijinks. There is profanity within the words, and sometimes there's sexual references, but it is hilarious if you are an adult who enjoys comic strips, because that is what you're getting. And it's kind of like Hagar the Horrible kind of thing, but with even more adult like feeling to it. Up next, we have Local Man, issue 4 from Image Comics. This is the story of what if our 90s superhero tried to go home again. And so this is kind of that homage to a superhero from then, and he has gone back to his hometown and found out, after being fired from his superhero team, he's found out that everybody not only hates him as a human, but they also hate Crossjack the superhero, which is who he is. And he's not allowed to do any kind of investigation, but of course, the second he gets home, one of the supervillains, who is also from his hometown, is murdered, and he is trying to figure out what happened in that situation and why. And in this issue, he actually does some investigating, and he figures out some really important things and who is behind some of the mysteries and murders and things that are happening, and immediately congratulates himself with a, way too soon moment. And so we're kind of seeing this as a great setup of, like, you've done a good job, but now maybe you're not actually fit to be a superhero. And maybe there's a reason why you had some problems. And we learn what those problems are, because the backside of every book is the story of those 90s heroes done in a little bit more of the 90s art. So you kind of get the issues that would have been going on if this was actually based on 90s superheroes. And in this particular one, we see him and two of the heroes landed on a place that they are now deserted, and they don't know what to do. And we find out that one of the superheroes is married to the other one, and there's some betrayal and some hookups and some hard feelings that come from that. So if you want 2 comics for the price of 1, you're definitely going to get that every time with Local Man. And honestly, this is one of the best, like, you can't go home stories on the shelf right now, because he does have that 90s superhero nostalgia that a lot of people are feeling, but you're getting a modern story to go with it, which is a really weird thing to say, because I know 90s comics are technically considered modern, but let's just all agree that we need to break this up, because that was 30 years ago, and we need a breaking point now. And because definitely the 90s comics and the current comics are very, very different in feel. So you can come up with a name on your own for what you want to reference between modern and current comics, because those 2 words mean the same thing. But we definitely will feel the difference if you read these stories right now. Up next, we have Silence, Track 2 from Literati Press. This is the story of a girl who gets a letter from a very nondescript agency that says her father, who was a fisherman back in her hometown, has gone missing. And it seems that everybody who goes out on boats in this area goes missing. And so she goes back home, even though she never wanted to have to do that. And she finds out that everybody in the town has just either disappeared or is suffering at the hands of a very capitalistic bank that is just taking advantage of everybody. So her and a couple of other ladies from the town get on a submarine, and they are headed out to sea to try to figure out what happened to all of the missing people and see if they can't save the day. And each issue has a lot to do with music, hence the track 2. We're learning that each of them are musicians. We're learning that each of them have some kind of connection to music that brings them back to the world, that grounds them, but it's all kind of tying them together as well. This is a really, really great story. I absolutely love every character in here. I love that we get a little bit about each character as they connect to music and to each other in every issue. We're seeing a little bit more of the world build out. Literati Press has never put out a book that we didn't adore, and this definitely continues to fall into that category of just great work from Literati and their team of creators that they find. And this book, if you haven't picked it up, definitely check out Silence. It's very good. I'm going to take another drink really fast. Up next, we have Toy, issue 2 from Keenspot.
Oh, man.
I love the excitement. This is a story of Toy, who is a toy, who is also an inventor. And in this particular issue, Toy is wants to go to an inventors convention, kind of like a trade show, to show off the latest thing that he's inventing, which is a way for food like broccoli to taste like milkshakes or whatever your favorite food is, so that people won't be offended by the foods that they don't want to eat, that they should be eating. And so they take their invention, they go to the place, and immediately upon getting there, somebody is trying to kidnap Toy, and they make a terrible mistake, and it's not in fact Toy that they end up kidnapping. And so Toy has to come up with a way to save his friend, as well as participate in the Inventor Con. And whether or not he can do both at the same time is kind of where our adventure leads us. And it's just, honestly, this is just an adorable book. I love this character. Keenspot, you should probably make Toy plushies, because he's so cute, and people probably want to have their own copy, their own little cuddly toy to go with the book when they read it. Or at least by people, I mean me. Up next, we have Azza the Barbed, issue 5. We've had a big break between 4 and 5 with this, and this is actually, I guess I should have put this later, this is the end of volume 1, and even though it feels like kind of a return to Azza, this actually does wrap up that volume 1 story, and we'll be we do find out that we will be getting a volume 2, so that's kind of cool. But if you didn't read Azza yet, Azza the Barbed is about a young girl named Azza who goes through a ceremony in her community to figure out if she is going to be marked with these special like tattoos, essentially, that come across everybody that's part of their royal guard and the royal family themselves, to protect the kingdom. And Azza is given barbed wire instead of the floral pattern that everybody else is given. And so she's basically banished from the kingdom and sent to watch over this evil that they've been trying to keep locked in its place for the last thousands of years. And of course, in the process of doing that, the evil gets out, and Azza is body snatched by this evil, and she has been working to save herself, save her body, and save her sister and the village, all at the same time. And this is, like I said, the culmination of everything that we've seen in those first 4 issues. This is Azza's big battle. It's the big showdown. And we learn that there's a lot more to this story very quickly, and that we're going to see some really cool things happening in Azza the Barbed as that story unfolds and continues. So I'm really excited to see this one keep going. It is very young adult in appearance, but again, it does have some profanity and things in it. So I do always say, that's kind of up to you if you're okay with that language going down to that teen level. But it's a really great story. I have a few adults who, that's one of those books when they get it, they're very excited. And Press Shann, they've done some really great books like Destiny of New York, and so they have really great handle on storytelling, and I can't wait to see where Oz is going to go as this universe opened up so much in this issue. Up next, we have Hunt, Kill, Repeat, issue 3 from Madcave. This is one of my books on the shelf that you just have to say the premise and I'm sold, because I am a sucker for this character. And that said, this is the story of the Olympian gods have taken over modern America, and they're mad about the way the world is working and them not being included in it. So when they take it over, they kind of reduce everything down to their terms. And one god who has never fallen in love before, aka Artemis, who is one of my favorite goddesses in the Greek pantheon, falls in love with a man, has a child, everything seems wonderful. She has to hide it all from her family because A, she's supposed to be a virgin goddess, but also B, they're not allowed to associate with humans anymore. And the Greek pantheon finds out about it. They destroy everything Artemis has, all on the very first page of issue 1. And Artemis wakes up from being attacked by all of them and decides one by one, she is going to take down every Greek god and goddess that she can find in an attempt to get back at her father Zeus and destroy him all. And we have seen her team up with a couple of different gods who are on her side, and things are getting really crazy in this issue 3. I always say the 3-issue rule, you know by the 3rd issue if it's going to be the book for you. And in this one, I was like, I mean, it already was the book for me because Artemis is taking down all of the other Greek gods, but now Artemis has some really cool moments in this, and there was a really big cliffhanger moment that was like, ooh, this is going to be, you're setting up a good story, and I can't wait to see. And that's important to note because a lot of Madcave titles do end on 4 issues. So this setting up something so big just in issue 3 and so many different places that this story could go. Who knows how long this is going to go. I know we just had, Legacy of Violence is still continuing, and it's kind of one of the first, ongoings that we've seen in a while from Madcave. So I'm hoping this is going to be another one that we see, 10, 12, maybe even more issues as the story continues to unfold. Up next, we have American Dreams number 2 from Band of Bards. This is the turn of the 20th century. This is the early 1900s in American history, and we are following a group of people who are, living in New York in one of the boroughs, and they have immigrated here, and they are working in a factory and a warehouse and different things like that throughout the family. One of them is working for a man named Houdini, and there is, of course, conflict between all of the different groups of people who are living in that part of New York at the time. And in issue 1, we see a street fight is going to break out between all of these people. And right as the fight is just getting started, there's a flash of light, and suddenly everybody has these weird abilities and they don't know what's going on. And we get a little bit of backstory about what those abilities are and where they came from and who has them and who doesn't in this issue to really kind of set up our story. And we're starting to see who each of these people are going to be, specifically following one of the family members from the very first issue and kind of how each of them was impacted. This is just really great. We don't see a lot of that modern society superheroes. We either go all the way back to the Middle Ages, or we kind of stay in that, 60s and beyond, society's already well defined kind of thing. So this is really cool to see a story that takes place at that turn of the, going into 1900, turn of the 20th century, and seeing these people who have so much to gain and so much to lose, and just kind of what would they fight for and how would they do it and where did these powers come from, and putting a story in that time period for a superhero is such a great idea, and I'm really excited to see where this is going. Band of Bards, this is a brand new publisher, and we've really enjoyed everything that they've put out so far, so I cannot wait to see where this is going. And we're starting to see a lot of people come in and pick that one up off the shelf and go, what is this? This looks super cool. And after issue 2, I definitely think people who are picking it up are going to be coming back wanting more because it builds up some really great characters. Northern Blood, issue 4 from Blood Moon Comics. I think this was also a conclusion. I did a terrible job of putting my conclusions in my conclusion zone this week, but it's fine. This is definitely the end of the story. It actually even says in giant letters on the back, the epic finale is here, so we're doing a great job. But this is a story of zombies attacking during World War II. And what if we were battling not only the Nazis, but also the zombies? And are there alliances that get formed? I'm just to show you this ridiculously crazy thing. Are there alliances that get formed? Can you make an alliance with people like that? Can you do anything? Can you stop these zombies? And do you just unleash the zombies on the other people? These are all the questions that get asked during Northern Blood. And you just see some really crazy zombie attacks. So if you want to see, that black and white zombie story, but put it into World War II, there you go. It's a quick 4-issue read. Up next, we have Kitsune issue 3 from Scout Comics. This is the story of a Kitsune fox who is a Ronin in this world, which is basically like a feudal Japan kind of situation. And he is a blind Kitsune, and so he has a partner that he travels with, and they have been working their way across the countryside fighting different things. And in the last issue, he was called by a king, a royal, somebody of high command to come to their place, and so he had to return home. And he returns to this place to find out that they need his help to take down some people who are doing bad things and bring some things back to this person of high regard. And he's like, okay, we can definitely do this. But for the first time, we kind of get to see some people who already knew our Kitsune. And so we see that his backstory isn't the good and wonderful person that he is now. All of the work that he's done, that we've seen where he's helping people, is kind of his penance that he's paying. And as this issue goes on, we kind of finally unlock some of those stories, because he's been very secretive about his past up until this point. And so this book has been so great. It's actually surprising to me. Like, it was kind of surprising to me when it first started, because I expected it to be like a lot of the other Ronin books that we had seen on the shelves. But this has given us some really great character development for these characters. And honestly, like, the way the two people interact, it almost feels like the Jedi and his partner in Rogue One, who were on their own. I think we can see a lot of inspiration maybe coming from that and falling into this story. But great characters, and I love the way everybody interacts. I love the beautiful world that they're building, and I cannot wait to see what happens as we move on to the story. Up next, we have... Ooh, that was shaky. Up next, we have Roach Mill, issue 3 from It's Alive. We also got issue 2 of this last week, so it sounds like we got a double week from It's Alive. This is the story of a guy who is what they call an exterminator. Excuse me. He is an exterminator in a world where people are bugs and people, and he is a roach, and he is taking out all of the other bugs, which are, bad people. And he's known as the best exterminator. He's always been somebody who did what needed to be done to get people out of the way. And he is imprisoned because they accuse him of killing someone. We know that he didn't do it, but nobody else really does. And in this particular issue, he is on trial for the murder that he has been charged with. And he kind of knows that there's no way that he's going to get away with it, so he takes matters into his own hands. And he almost has like a Batman roach, like if Batman was a cockroach, what would that look like vibe to him, because he kind of blends almost like a Batman meets the Punisher like level of violence. But it's such an interesting book, and the way that the way that this trial plays out in this book was really interesting, because you watch it, you see them interview different people, you see things as they unfold, and then you see the way he's like, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna handle this my way. And the whole time there's people back in the like villain bar gambling and betting on whether or not he's gonna get convicted. And so it's so funny to see how like the bets are happening as the story goes on. Up next, we have Pop Scars issue 3 from Sumerian. This is a crazy story of what if essentially Jaws had been made by two people, but only one of them got credit for it. And the other one was, and now somebody else is one of them is bringing up a reboot and didn't call the other one to be a part of it, and they're very mad about it. So they're going to take out the person. They're just going to kill them. And they basically, Ocean's 11, a team of people to help them take everybody out. And those are just crazy outfits. They are now in the middle of their whole entire crime spree, and our main character is allegedly the daughter of this person, and she is absolutely determined to destroy him. But she's made some terrible decisions because she's never been somebody who did crime before, and so now she's trapped in a room full of people who are trying to hurt her. And at the same time, we're seeing our celebrity star of it get offered drugs that are going to mess her up. We're seeing the production come to a halt because people can't be trusted to do anything. And is this working out in their favor? Is it not working out in their favor? We don't know. We're going to see, but it's kind of like those movies like Ocean's 11, except if they were actually, I mean, I guess they were criminals in Ocean's 11, but these are like really violent criminals. They're trying to murder somebody, not just trying to rob them. So you kind of took that up a notch, and the whole world is watching because it is the production of a movie that's a huge summer blockbuster. So there's so many different levels to this, but all of them come with spoilers, so I can't really go too far into any of it, but if you've always wanted a more adult version of something like Ocean's 11, this is definitely the story for you. Torrent, issue 4 from Image Comics. This is giving us literally like a female Punisher, which, I mean, we had from Marvel, but this is like, you know, the max level of the Punisher kind of thing. She even has like the same logo, which I'm going to turn this around. She even has the same logo on the back of the book as the Punisher, essentially. But this is the story of a woman who is a superhero, and in the very first issue, she's got this kid who wants to be her sidekick, and she's like, I don't have a sidekick, I don't partner with people, and that guy gets captured by her ultimate enemy, and he ends up giving away her secret identity, and the bad guys come and they kill her husband and her son, and she's goes full Punisher, and she's now fighting against, in this issue, she's fighting against all of the superheroes who are trying to tell her that she is a superhero and she can't do bad things and she can't attack people because that's not what heroes do, and she can't kill people. And she's like, well, I'm going to, because this isn't about being a hero, this is about getting vengeance, and none of you wanted to help me when I asked you to do it right. And I went to the police, and I went to y'all. Nobody helped me, so guess what? Now I'm just gonna kill you all. I don't care. I don't care anymore. You get in my way, you die. And she is fighting her best fight in this issue and trying to get there. And it's really great. I love seeing her. She's so strong, and you know, we get those stories all the time. We get stories like The Punisher. We get stories where men get to go after this revenge. And it's kind of nice to just have a story where this woman is just going for revenge. And she's going to do whatever it takes to get there. Because we don't see that a lot. We don't see the female characters get to kind of just break loose and go crazy. And so we're starting to see that in here. But there's still that really emotional undercurrent of the story. And that never goes away. We're always seeing more and more of that come to play in every issue. Up next, we have World Tree, issue 2 from Image Comics and, of course, James Tynion. This is one of the craziest books on the shelf. Speaking of letting loose and going crazy, this is about a program or a space on the internet that can essentially mind control people to kill everybody in the world. It's crazy. And in issue 1, we see it opens up with a young boy who has fallen for this program and is going around and is just killing everybody on his street block. And he ends up getting arrested, and we see a flash over to the characters that I just had on the page right there. And I can't show you that. It's like mostly half of it's like spoilers and half of it's because there's the lady who wanders around in this book naked. But he ends up, and we don't know who she is, by the way, but we end up finding out that there was a program that was created, and the group that created it has never released that they created it, and they are now trying to stop what is obviously the re-release of this program into the world. And they've now come together, and so we're starting to get a little bit of backstory about each of the people who were responsible for that. But at the same time, the girlfriend of the brother of the boy who killed everybody is investigating this story, and we find out that she's trying to use this for her own advantage to maybe start a podcast and get famous off of it. And I'm just really stalling because there's nothing I can tell you about this book that's not a spoiler. But you do get some great James Tynion writing. You get a lot of twists and turns. You get very little knowledge of what is actually happening in the story, but you are getting a story that is absolutely crazy. And so this is more on your Department of Truth side of James Tynion's writing. It's not so much like fantasies and monsters. It's more embedded into that. But who knows where it's going, because we're 2 issues in, and again, everything I could tell you is a spoiler, and yet I also feel like I don't know anything to actually tell you. So you read it because it's good and you're gonna enjoy it, but also because I can only talk to you about it once you have. So actually an ending in the ending spot. Look, I got one of them right. We've got Black Tape issue 4 from AWA. This is the story of a guy who sold his soul to the devil in order to make the perfect record, and he dies, and everything is left to his wife, and she's kind of dealing with the fallout of everything being left to her, and in the process, everybody is coming to her saying they need to find the extra tape, the last tape he recorded. It's the one, it's the big song, they need it, absolutely. And she ends up finding a pathway to a secret room, and within that she finds that he actually did sell his soul to the devil, and there was a lot of sacrifices and some crazy stuff going on, and she determines that there is a lot more possibly to her husband than she knew, but there is also a lot more to rock music than she knew, and that's all I'm going to show you, because this is the end of a book that has had a lot of buildup, and I don't want you to know what side characters are on. I don't want you to know what happens in any capacity, but if you like horror that is based on music, this is definitely a great one for you. And if you have any interest in like all of the almost real world crazy stories that AWA does, this falls into all of those categories. It's going to check every box. You get rock music, you get horror, you get the fact that AWA puts it all in the real world and makes things terrifying in those capacities more than anything. A very cult-esque of the music story that you should check out. All right, before I get to number 1, I'm going to take another drink. Still delicious, just saying. All right, kicking off the number 1s, we have The Rocketeer from IDW. This is a one-shot, but don't worry. And so many people were like, oh no, The Rocketeer is only a one-shot. Well, guess what? Nothing to fear. I just ordered issue 1 of the new Rocketeer series that is going to be launching.
Who's putting it out?
IDW. I said that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. There is a new series that is coming very, very soon for The Rocketeer. So if you are a fan, you will have a series coming your way. We also have the series that came out last year, if you are interested. But this is a one-shot. And so there are actually 2 Rocketeer stories in here, I believe. And the first one is all about Betty being mad because she finds a letter from another girl in Cliff's stuff, and she's mad because she thinks he's cheating, as they always make Betty act, which is so annoying because Betty shouldn't act like that, because Cliff loves her so much. But they end up finding out that his pen pal was Amelia Earhart, and she's the reason that he wanted to become a pilot, and she's the reason that he has all the flight and things that he does. And so in the first story, he's basically trying to figure out if he can be the one to find Amelia or not. And it's really cute, and I love it. And then in the second story, they are on a date to a fancy place that Betty has insisted that they go to. And Cliff is immediately drawn to some people doing some suspicious stuff and is like, hey, we're going to go solve this problem. I'm going to go take these people out. And, of course, Betty thinks their date is ruined because of that. And they get in a tiff about it. And he has to make the choice to either save the people or make her not mad at him. So, classic Rocketeer stories, for sure. And then you get some really cool, I love these panels from the stories. We're just flying around doing some cool stuff. And then there's actually just like a little art gallery at the back of different prints of the Rocketeer and Betty. And there's a really cool one from like Phil Noto and a couple other classic stories, but you just get some just classic art for the Rocketeer. So this is a great intro place basically for people who may not know the Rocketeer or maybe haven't had any Rocketeer stuff in their life since like the movie or the old stuff. This is a great way to kind of give you this is who these characters are, this is their relationship, and get you excited for the fact that a new Rocketeer series is coming. And this doesn't connect to anything. Like I said, it's like 2 or 3 mini stories inside of it, so you don't even have to worry about picking up anything else. And this is actually my last copy. So
it's an Adam Hughes cover. It
is an Adam Hughes cover. Speaking of old characters coming back that make me a very excited person, Phantoma has a new book out from Comic House. If you don't know Comic House, basically they exist solely to take public domain Golden Age characters and give them new stories. They just had Crime Buster during Free Comic Book Day, which is a Golden Age, almost young adult story. Actually, they are making it a young adult story, and it kind of was. Like a teen Robin age person having a story. And now they are bringing back Phantoma. This is actually season 2. There is a first volume of this. But if you don't know, Phantoma is a Golden Age character. And let's see if I can find a picture of her. We'll get there. But she's a Golden Age character who goes around and takes out people who are attacking women or children and people who cannot protect themselves. And she does it by turning into this blue-faced skeleton demon. And in this particular issue, we find out she ends up going to a diner and getting picked up by a guy who drives an 18-wheeler who's like, oh, I can give you a ride wherever you want to go as long as you're not a cop or, a woman of the night. And he ends up taking her out to the woods where he's chained up somebody else, and he is planning on killing both her and this other kid. And she already knew that because Phantoma knows these things, and she is ready and prepared to attack him. And honestly, I'm just going to go to the cover so that I don't show you all the cool stuff, so you can see what Phantoma looks like. This is one of the very first female comic book characters that had an ongoing series. I think we talked of 1940s, I believe, was when Phantoma came out. Super cool character. It might even be before that, but she's one of the very early characters, and I absolutely love her. There is, on our YouTube channel, there is a history of Golden Age female characters video that we did, and it does feature a lot about Phantoma. So if you want to learn a little bit about her, you can go back and watch that video, because we do give you a little bit of insight into her character and where she came from and some of her story. Launching this week in One Shot World, which is a book that I honestly wish was more than a one shot, and I'm going to double check, but no, it's not. I'm just going to keep pretending that it is, but it's not. This is Sacred Bullets, and it's from Blood Moon Comics as well. And this is the story of a priest who has decided he is going to stand against the cartel. And he's going to keep fighting against the things that they're doing to his neighborhood. And we see him basically become the Punisher. And he's constantly trying to get in and save the children, save the women, save the poor of his community. And he literally, he still wears his priestly clothes, but he goes out with guns and takes these people down, Punisher style. And in the story, we see all of it because it is a one shot. So we get his backstory. We figure out what it was that happened that made him want to go and fight against these people. We see how long he's been doing it. We see his connections to the community. We see him kind of, get that moment where he tries to gather the community to fight with him. And there's just so much. And that's all spoilers because it's a one shot. So the whole thing's in there. But it's such a great story to see him kind of find his path and figure out what he wants to do. And I love stories where people are like, my job is to protect my community, and then my community will also protect me. And this was really great. And I'm pretty sure that it's actually translated. Yeah, it is a translation of a Spanish title. So there are some parts where like they missed a word in the translation here and there every once in a while. But it's such a well done, beautiful story. Please pick this up. It's so cool. And if you like any of those, like, again, vengeance stories, but like protecting your community through that vengeance, you're gonna love Sacred Bullets. So TMNT had a Saturday morning, which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they had a Saturday morning adventure series that launched that was just a 4-part mini-series, and it was so popular they are now bringing it back through IDW for an ongoing. So we're going to see a lot of awesome Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon-based stories. And in this particular one, we are launching our new series with the Rat King. And Rat King is living his life, hanging out with his rat friends, doing Rat King things. And a bottle of ooze, as per usual, gets dropped down the sewers, and the rats bring it to him. And he opens it up, and it stops him from being able to communicate with the rats. And he's freaking out because he can't talk to rats anymore. But you know what he can talk to? Turtles. And so the Rat King is able to mind control the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he is determined to use them to take over the city in order to be the king he knows he can be. And honestly, he really just would love to figure out how to get his rats back because he loves them. And because of that, we gotta fight Shredder. We gotta fight some people. We gotta fight Master Splinter at one point. There is a lot going on in this issue that is setting up an all-new series of Saturday morning adventures for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is perfect for fans of the cartoon. If you love the cartoon and you didn't pick up the original, like, 4 issues, find them if you can, but jump on this series right now because this is literally like watching the cartoon perfectly done. And if you have kids, this is a great way to share your Turtles love with your kids because these are based on the cartoon, so they are 100% kid-friendly, which you cannot say for the ongoing Ninja Turtles title all the time, but you can actually share this with them. And I'm not telling you anything else about this issue because Matt is watching and I don't want to ruin his experience. It's already ruined. You just wait. You had it in your hand. You started reading it. That's on you, buddy. You knew I was going to talk about it. Up next, we have Savage Strength of Starstorm #1 from Image Comics. I'm going to give Matt a second to write that whole title down. This is a brand new series that is launching about a young boy who becomes a superhero, and it's very much like, honestly and truthfully, very 90s-esque, very almost like Jim Starlin wrote this book. If you could have told me that, but it's actually written by Drew Craig, who is the brother of Wes Craig, who you may know from Kaya and other Deadly Class and other stories. And in this first comic from Drew Craig, this is the story of a boy who transfers to a new high school. He makes a friend. He finds a bully. He gets the girl that he's gonna like. We set up every trope that you need in a superhero story, and then we have some kind of meteor crash into the school, and suddenly he has superpowers. And he's going to have to figure out how to use those powers, who to use them on, what he's doing, why he's got them. We're setting up an entirely new origin story for this character, and it gets crazy pretty fast. I love that we've got some really cool paneling going on here. Again, if you were a fan of 90s comics, but you want more to your story, you're going to get that with this. You're getting a little bit of your 90s style design, but with the modern storytelling added into it. So it's a great nostalgia boost with a brand new character. So check out the Savage Strength of Starstorm issue 1 if you're looking for a cool new Image superhero. Up next, we have Sun Julian's Queens of the Lost World from Opus Comics. This is Sun Julian is like your Frazetta, this is another one of those artists, much like Frazetta, who has a big following and who had a classic art style that we kind of saw on a lot of fine art prints, like the way Frazetta's were. But this is bringing that art style and those comic styles, like those heavy metal kind of stories, back through Opus with this new story, Queens of the Lost World. And this follows the Queen of Dragons, who is no longer able to actually communicate with the mother dragon, which is her entire job as queen, is to communicate with the dragons and keep them safe, but also to keep her kingdom safe by using the dragons. Which also, I have to put this back up really fast because I really like the way the castle is designed with all of these like dragon pieces that are just, instead of having pillars and columns, they're just these cool dragons. Her entire aesthetic was amazing and I loved it. But at the same time, while she's struggling with that, she ends up hiring a woman who is our great barbarian, essentially, and she has her come in to take on the act of finding something that was lost, which we still don't know what it is because she didn't tell us. And this barbarian woman is going to go to the Queen of the Damned and the necromancers and all of the bad people of the world until she finds this item and hopefully can help save the Dragon Queen and the Mother of Dragons before it's too late, because there is a battle that is coming to their doorstep, and if these women cannot save the world, nobody can. Which I do love that we've built out an entire universe where every single character that matters is a woman. I thought that was super awesome. We've got like a barbarian woman. We've got the Queen of the Dragons, who is the queen of all things good in the world. And then we've got like this necromancer who's also a woman. And then we've got this queen of the damned and the dead and all of this, who's also obviously a woman. It's a powerhouse of women who are either going to destroy or save the world, and I'm 100% here to see what these women do. So, just a reminder, I am drinking Beirais, which is a Portuguese wine, and it's very good. It's we were talking about this at the beginning of the show. It's very light, it's very fruity, but it's not sweet in any capacity, and it's also not high in tannins, so it doesn't have that strong spice, that strong dry texture that a lot of red wines do. So, oh right, I love that we just see Matt's arm come through with the wine bottle. Up next, we have one more new number one before we get to picks of the week, which is Catfight number 1 from IDW. Just so you know, this is not about anthropomorphic cats having an argument. So I just need to make that clear, because anytime a book has an animal name in it, people always ask me, is this anthropomorphic? No, this is not. This is actually about a guy who is a thief. He is a cat burglar. And he makes some really bad decisions. And now some ultimate bad guy who he has borrowed money from is coming after him. And the only people that can save him are the people that he wants the least amount to do with in this world, which is his family. And he has no relationship with any of them, but his grandmother and him kind of every once in a while connect, and he ends up taking a phone call from his dear grandmother, who is well aware of everything going on in his situation. And we find out the backstory of Grandma and why she's aware of all of this stuff. But we also find out that the only people who can hurt or help you sometimes in life are the people in your family who you don't want to trust. And he gets set up on some big things really fast. And this definitely went from 0 to 95 in the course of issue 1. So whatever is going to happen to this poor guy is going to happen, and it's going to happen intensely. This was a great setup. This is one of the books that when people ask me, why did you put this in my box? I'm like, because it's a great crime story. It's a great action story. It's a great, like, family story. It's a great, like, like almost like there's going to be some drama. Like we're going to get a little bit of everything, and which is kind of what I've come to expect from an IDW original imprint title. And we're definitely seeing another great story launching off right here with Catfight. Lack of anthropomorphic cats aside. So, all right, we've got some picks of the week. I'm very excited because there's some really good books out this week. So the fact that I was able to still narrow it down to just 3 for picks of the week makes me feel really proud, because I could have probably put half of the books that we've already talked about also in picks of the week, because this is a good week for comics. And I would like to make a note about that, because whenever there's a 5th week in the month, people always say, oh, it's a slow week. There's no reason to go, like, check out your comic book store. Nothing big is happening on that 5th week of the month because Marvel and DC didn't really put anything out. Remember, that is 2 publishers of, like, 289 publishers. So if you think, oh, there's not really a lot on my Marvel and DC list on that 5th week of the month, go to the comic book store and pick up something from the other 287 publishers that came out that week, because I guarantee you they put out some fire that week because they knew there wasn't going to be too much on the shelf to block your attention from some really great books. And you've heard them all tonight, and you're about to hear about 3 more that I really loved. So we're going to talk about those. Up first in my picks of the week is North Valley Grimoire, issue 1 from Whatnot Publishing. A couple weeks ago on the show, Wednesday Phil asked me how I felt about Whatnot Publishing and if they had found their footing or not yet as a new publisher. This is it. This is where you are finding your footing as a publisher. This is the direction that you should go, and bless you, sir. Bless you. This is the direction you should be going, Whatnot. This was such a great book. This is based on a best-selling novel by Blake Northcott, who actually did, not surprising, a Catwoman story and Evanescence Echoes from the Void. So we had a ton of you who loved that, and Evanescence's book from Opus Comics made it into our picks of the week a lot. This is a great story. This is all about essentially a CIA-type operative who is going to be fighting to save magical artifacts. He is trying to stop magical artifacts from getting out into the world, because if they do, bad things happen. And so he goes to try to get this magical grimoire, the ultimate worst grimoire that we've ever heard of in the history of time. And if you don't know what that is, that's a spell book for witches. And so this one particularly is filled with dark magic, and he is sent to go find it, and the second he opens it up, it disappears, and now he is being investigated for going through those things. Meanwhile, we flip to a young girl who's in a school, and this is really, really sad because her best friend, who she may or may not have had more of a relationship with, has died, and there's been something that happened with her mom as well, so she's kind of just like, the world sucks and nothing good can happen. And she looks under her bed, and the grimoire that she's never seen before suddenly appears under her bed, and in it is a note from her best friend. It said, I couldn't use this book to save myself, but maybe it could save her. And she has no idea what that means, but she's trying to figure it out. And these 2 stories are obviously going to intersect at some point, but what's really cool is she has no idea that magic even exists, and suddenly she finds the world's darkest book of magic, and it is there, and it's something that she is going to have to unravel. And who is her? We don't know. What happened to the best friend? We don't know. Who is this guy that's going to come investigate, and is he going to just, like, are they going to connect and they're going to save the world? Is she going to be the one that's destroying the world? Is he the villain? Is she the villain? I don't know. There are so many questions that were plot-based great questions in a good way after this first issue, that there was no way that I couldn't put in the pick of the week, because a good book should, after chapter 1, make you go, wow, okay, so I like this character and I like this character, but I also don't like this character and I don't like that character, and the plot's really good because I want to know, like, what's going to happen here. You've already given me, like, 6 problems, and there doesn't seem to be a solution for any of them, and you've got 2 major stories going at the same time, and they're going to connect. This book gave you all of those things, and it's going to give us a little bit of action. It's going to give us a lot of adventure. It's going to give us a great character development probably for both of these people, because they both came out really head headstrong on who they are as people, and yet by the end of the first issue they were both kind of confused about their choices in being those people. So I'm really excited about this book. Dan Panosian, who we've talked about with Black Tape earlier, who also wrote one of my favorite books of last year, Alice Ever After. So this was engaging, relevant, and poignant. A deft combination of ancient magic and modern mayhem, and I think that is a great quote about how to describe this book. So I'm super excited to see where North Valley Grimoire is going to go. And also, I just appreciate them calling it a grimoire and not just writing spellbook. So thank you for using the actual terminology. Also, Matt, cover your ears, because my other pick of the week is Pop-Up issue 2 from Blood Moon Comics. And Matt really doesn't need to cover his ears too much, because I'm not going to show you most of what's inside this book, because it is all spoilers. But this is the story of a woman who has one goal, and it is to make a museum of all of the deadliest, craziest, most absurd supernatural objects that she can find. And in the very first issue, we see a lot of the backstory about what those objects are, because it's the night before opening and she's trying to set it up, and business owners everywhere, you know, that she's not going to get any sleep that night. But also, like, you probably didn't get any sleep the 700 nights before that. And it's her and her daughter's boyfriend, and they are all trying to get everything completely set up. And as they are setting these things up, weird things keep happening. They set up mannequins, and the mannequins move. They set up paintings, and the paintings respond. And then they set up a creepy doll. And that's the last page I'm going to show you, because from then on, things get crazy. This is your classic horror story in the best way. It's all the jump scares you could want. It's all the storytelling that you could need of this family. Like, you literally, it's one of those where if you've ever seen a horror movie, you know, like the daughter's like, we just have to get through this night. And you're like, oh, well, you just cursed everybody in that room, didn't you? Way to go, kid. You never say that in a horror movie. Like, you can just hear Jamie Kennedy telling you the rules of a horror movie in the background of this, like, while you're reading this book, and yet you're still, like, completely like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Such a great job. I can't wait for everybody in the world to get on this book. This is another one of those Blood Moon books that if you're sleeping on, you're gonna regret it when you can't find it anymore. So go to your LCS and request Pop-Up right now. If it's not already on your list, get that number 1, get that number 2, put it on your list for the future issues, whether that's 2 more issues, whether it's 1 more issue, doesn't even matter. Subscribe to it right now and get stoked, because this book is so good. And that's all I can show you, because again, I don't want to ruin anything. And then my last pick of the week, just an absolutely beautiful story from Kyle Higgins. It is Deep Cuts, and it's technically issue 2, but this is an anthology, and it is from Image Comics. This is an anthology of beautiful stories about music and American history through that music. And this particular story takes place in 1928 in Chicago. And what?
It's at the Emerald Mill, which the place is actually called the Green Mill, which is where Al Capone had his thing, and it's where I had my 21st birthday party.
Aw, this takes place where Matt had his 21st birthday party? How amazing is this? Aw. Yeah. Matt's gonna cry while we read this book, probably.
I'll read it after.
This is a story of a woman, and they kind of tell us real stories by slightly changing their names, which I love about it. And this is, I'm trying to figure out, her name is Gilda, I believe. I wanted to get that right, but I totally failed. Oh, Gail. Her name is Gail. And so she is a woman who is trying to write a Broadway show, and she's in New York at the very beginning of the book, and she's written this show, and they basically her producer basically tells her, it's a good show. It's not a great show. Your actors aren't good. Your songs are okay. You're not really going to do anything wonderful. And she's like, well, you know, there are a lot of musicals where if they just have that one song, people come back for that one song. And he's like, yeah, you don't have that song. The show opens next week. If you don't come back on Monday with that song, just don't come back at all. And so she goes home to Chicago for a wedding. And while she's there, she ends up meeting up with somebody that she used to know when she was a child, who is now making music. Her family says this might be the person who can help you. And she's like, great, I've written the greatest jazz song of all time while I was on the train on the way home. And they're like, no, no, you didn't. And she's like, well, it has to be, because if it's not the greatest jazz song of all time, then I'm nothing and I have accomplished nothing. And this has to be it. And she ends up meeting a lot of jazz musicians who are like, sweetie, have you even heard jazz before? And she's like, well, I mean, not really. And they're like, okay, well, that's not how jazz works. You don't tell jazz you wrote the greatest jazz song. You tell jazz, I want to feel something, I want to learn something, and jazz shows you what the greatest jazz song is. And she kind of has different experiences with all these different people, and she learns that you can't force anything in life, and you kind of have to accept that life is a journey and you're going on it. And we kind of see that journey for her. And, you know, her thing is I just want to write the greatest song, because I heard this moment where this guy played a song, and I thought one note of that song was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard, but I have no idea who he was. And I want to write the best thing because I want people to remember me. I don't care if I want them to remember the song, but I want them to most of all remember me. And they're like, you're never going to write it as long as that's your goal. And it's such a beautiful story, and it's so great for anybody who has ever gone on that creative journey, who's like, I want to, you know, like when I was a kid, I'm going to be honest. When I was a kid, I used to literally tell people I was going to write the great American novel. I was like, everybody says it's the Great Gatsby, but just wait till I'm done. I'm going to write the great American novel. And I remember saying that all the time as a kid. I put that on like my bucket list. It was always a thing. And it's like, I remember the moment when I realized that as long as I was chasing the great American novel, I was never going to write anything that anybody wanted to read. And I needed to just tell a story that was important to me. And so this book has always, like, this book hit that perfectly. And I think that's a big thing that Kyle Higgins as an adult has experienced, because if you're reading Radiant Black, you know that's immediately the point of Radiant Black too. That's like the first conversation he has. And so I think Kyle Higgins kind of realized it's about the art and it's about sharing stories, and it's not necessarily about trying to be the best that there is. And he's kind of hoping to share that apparently through a lot of his stories. And I love it. And I love that we do get some beautiful music. And I can't wait to actually hand this to Matt and have him play this song for me, because I want to know what it sounds like. So I love that they do give us the sheet music and everything for it at the end. But Deep Cuts. Seriously, pick it up. It's an anthology. You don't have to read the first one. You don't have to read the next one. You just need to read the one that's out right now and fall in love with it. But if you can find the first and the second and the third and whatever is to come in the future, you should subscribe to it. Even it's like Ice Cream Man, even though it's an anthology of one-shots, you can actually subscribe to the title, and I highly recommend that you do. I'm going to take a drink. And then we are going to fly through some books real fast, because there's a lot of other books that were great this week that were in stock. But I can't talk to you about everything in the world. We have Gargoyles issue 6. If you were a fan of the Gargoyles show, this picks up right where the show ended and kicks off from there. You definitely want to read this if you are a fan, because there's some big stuff coming this summer that is going to blow your gargoyle brains. X-23 Deadly Regenesis, issue 3 out this week for all you X-23 fans. Power Girl has been back in the Dawn of DC. She's a part of the Super Family story that is happening in Action Comics. I love that we have the Super Family story. I love that Action Comics is being used in the same way that Detective Comics has often been used. And this is a one-shot for Power Girl that will hopefully be leading us into a Power Girl series pretty soon. Also features Fire and Ice. So if you just read Human Target, which is nominated for like 17 million Eisner Awards, you saw the return of Fire and Ice to DC Comics. Now they're back in this Power Girl special. Star Wars Darth Vader, issue 34. We've got Star Wars Sana Staros, issue 4, also out this week. Always at least 2 Star Wars titles. Edge of Spider-Verse issue 2 is out. This is the third volume, I believe, of Edge of Spider-Verse. We just had one that just ended not too long ago, and this is a new one, and it features Spinstress, who actually just appeared for the first time in the last volume. And also this is the first appearance of Sky Spider, I believe is what he's called. If you're a Spider-Verse fan, this is what you should be picking these up, because you're getting all kinds of spiders. And also, if you are, yes, I was right, it's Sky Spider. Also, if you are a Spider-Verse movie fan, don't spoil it in the comments, because nobody likes the dude that spoils things. Amazing Spider-Man, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, issue 26 happened this week. Speaking of not spoiling things, don't spoil this. I know it's been all over the internet, but I actually had at least 4 people this week who had no idea what happened in ASM 26, so don't spoil it. But this is a big issue that you're going to want to check out, and I love that cover. Scorched, issue 18 for my Spawn fans, out this week. Punisher, issue 12. Which has a teaser for the new Captain Marvel Dark Tempest on the back. I'm excited for that series. Nightwing 104 as a part of our Dawn of DC, and all those Titans getting some love in the Dawn of DC world. Doctor Strange issue 3. This has a story, backup story from Sister Grimm, and a super cool, I should have brought that cover, AAPI Heritage, Sister Grimm cover. It is amazing. Oh my god, I love it so much. Deadpool issue 7 out this week with this Peach Momoko Spider-Verse variant. Captain America Symbol of Truth issue 13. We are about to hit a big milestone for Captain America. It's going to be issue 750, and I believe it is going to be the end of the Captain America ongoing that is happening right now. Alien issue 2 from the new relaunch. They did recently relaunch Alien and Predator as a way to get the 20th century logo on it, so you know that the Alien, Predator, and Planet of the Apes stories are not going to cross over into your Marvel universe, for all of you who have been afraid of that. But also, I just really love this cover. It is super cool. We've got Avengers Beyond issue 3 with this Yelena cover, which is super cool. Detective Comics 1072 out this week. Silver Surfer Ghostlight issue 4. Carnage issue 13. Ramby still, no, Ramby is not the writer on this issue, so Ramby is, I don't know if he's completely off, but he's at least off that issue. DC's Pride issue, the 2023 issue of DC Pride, is out this week. Guess what? This is the last copy. This is our last copy of DC's Pride issue. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Jen Bartel did a really great semi-foil cover of Harley and Ivy that looked like a tarot card, which was amazing. But we had about 4 or 5 different covers this year for DC Pride, and they are flying off the shelf. We've got some great stories in here. Again, this is our last copy, and again, happy Pride Month to all and everyone. And remember, comics are for everyone, so we are so excited to see the representation that happens in the comic book industry through all of these amazing one-shots and all of the issues. Speaking of, we've got Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain, issue 4. We've got Icon versus Hardware issue 3 as a part of the Milestone universe. I love that Milestone has a universe that is continuing to go on. And then we've got some great trades in stock. I'm going to do that one last because it's amazing. We've got volume 1 of End After End from Vault Comics in stock. This is a great story for those who like high fantasy, D&D, any of those. And it's about a guy who, again, thought he kind of failed at everything, and now he has a chance to do better in a fantasy world. We've got the X-Men Dark Phoenix saga in stock. This is X-Men 129 through 137. This is your entire Dark Phoenix saga. You can actually read this while watching the episodes of the cartoon, and it lines up very nicely. Do you have anything you want to add about this?
Some of the greatest comics ever made ever.
Yes. If you're an X-Men fan, you know that you love this, and you probably, if you have the books, don't open them. So this is a great way to just get that Chris Claremont run.
In terms of classic comics,
it is on the top 10 probably moments. I think everybody that came in this week picked this up and was like, wow, they have just Dark Phoenix in a trade. And I'm like, yeah, it's a new print of it. And they're like, I kind of need that. And it's like, I don't even, like, there were so many people who were like, I don't even read Marvel, but I even know this, and I kind of want it. And I'm like, yeah, who doesn't? If you were a child in the 90s and you watched the X-Men cartoon, you probably have, you know that story by memory, and you want that comic. Nocturne County from Scout Comics. This was a comic that came out. We've got the single issue, and then it went into the nonstop version. This is a Dr. Seuss style story for adults. And then two of the books that I have absolutely adored the most from Vault recently. This is the Complete Blue Flame. It's 10 issues, and this is the story of a guy who's essentially on the Minutemen. Like, he's like in that before Watchmen kind of universe. And he and his team get called in to come do a presentation of come wave and, kiss babies. And a bomb goes off and they all die except for him. And so he becomes an alcoholic and can't hold himself together. And an alien race shows up and is going to destroy all of Earth. And they decide to give one person the chance to defend all of us. And it's him. And they pull him in his superhero costume, and so we get this parallel of him trying to defend Earth, even though he's on Earth as a terrible person, and everybody that he's associated with hates him and doesn't really want anything to do with him and thinks he's never going to accomplish something. But at the same time, he's out there as the only one trying to defend us, and it is such a great story. It's the parallels of it are wonderful. The conversations about what humanity is, and whether or not humanity is good or bad, and whether or not those terms are real, is absolutely incredible. And I honestly, if you read Watchmen, you read before Watchmen, this is a great almost companion to what could have been a post-Watchmen for some of those characters. But also this was just, it's my favorite Christopher Cantwell story ever. It's so well done. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, is it kind of like Blue Beetle because he kind of looks like that? And it's no, this is definitely a very dark conversation about does humanity actually deserve any of what it has? Does it deserve to exist? And then lastly, also from Vault, our last trade that came out this week is Mindset. Once again, entire thing. This was on my top 22 books of 22. I think it was possibly even in my top 5. I think of all of the issues, almost every single one of them was in my picks of the week last year. This is the story of a boy who has to finish up a final project for his engineering, software engineering, ends up discovering mind control and is oh, I'm going to help break everybody's addiction to social media. And in the process of developing that app, everything that could go wrong does. And he ends up, it's kind of like The Social Network, but way darker. And the book opens up with him in a police interrogation room, and they are trying to figure out what happened with a murder and what happened with the development of this app and where it all came from. And then from then on, you question everything as a reader. You cannot trust your narrator. You cannot trust the other characters. And you almost, by the end of the book, cannot trust yourself. And it's such a great conversation about social media. It's a great conversation about influence. It's a great conversation about technology addiction, but it's also just a really great conversation about writing and how well done it can be to make you doubt everything that you're reading and yet want to know what happens next all at the same time. We talk about a lot how Vault is such a great publisher and how their editorial team is so good, and this was absolutely 100% a beautiful conversation between writer, artist, editor, letterer, colorist on how to just make a perfectly collaborative, beautiful book. So thank you, Vault and Zach Kaplan and all of the team on Mindset for giving us an incredible book. Top 22 of 22. You can now read the whole thing in collected format. That's all I got. Those are all the books that came out this week, and they're all amazing, and you should read all of them, and you should do that by going to your local comic shop and finding the right one for you. If they don't have it, ask them if they can still order it for you, because these books were amazing, and small press and indie books deserve the read. So pick them up, add them to your subscription list. A thing we don't talk about too often on here because we run out of time, but I want to throw it out there really fast, is a lot of small press books are not a part of the final order cutoff. So comics are ordered 2 months out on an initial order, and then again, usually 3 weeks to a month out is the final order cutoff. And a lot of small press books aren't on a final order cutoff. So they have to be ordered as a part of that initial order 2 months out. And so if you see something on this show or in a catalog or like in your previous catalog or online that you think that sounds really good and I've never heard of this publisher, go and order it from your local comic shop. Add it to your subscription list. If you don't have a subscription list, start one. Usually they're free at most comic shops, but talk to yours to figure it out. But tell them you want to get that book, and tell them as soon as you can. That 2 months out is a lot of times, like I said, the last cutoff for ordering some of these books. So let them know, hey, I want to get that book. And always read your previous catalog from the split from statues backwards, because all those people who have one book are usually the people that we're talking about, and they're fantastic, and you don't want to miss them. So, again, we're drinking Beirais wine. It's fantastic. I recommend you check it out. It goes great with comic books because we just spent the last little bit of time drinking it and talking about books, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I hope you have too. We will see you in the shop on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. Hopefully lots of great, wonderful books that you're ready to check out. I know we're going to be here checking them out, so we'll talk to you next Sunday about all the books we enjoyed. Until then, happy reading. Bye.